Former homeless people, what did you need the most? What was the best thing someone did for you? For me it was socks. Shoes too. But the simplest thing of socks made me feel better about myself. When it was cold I could pull out a pair or four to use on my feet or hands. Gifted me an old baggy waterproof jacket with a big hood. It had many pockets too. A little large to carry around since I was carrying a lot of other stuff too, but proved very useful. It was very rainy at that time. Employment. I wasn't addicted and wasn't mentally ill, but I had legal trouble and employers aren't going to hire someone who is probably going to jail 5 months from now. I had to work under the table for like $4 per hour. If there had been a way for me to get a decent temp job I could have probably got a crappy apartment for the interim. I was able to secure a spot in a church basement for a little while. The nicest thing anyone did was one of the people from church brought me a Super Nintendo and a stack of games to help keep the boredom and loneliness at bay. The best thing someone did was getting me off the streets. I was passed out under a bride with my dog and I get woken up by this guy holding a box of donuts. I was in awe. He gave me two, one for me and I gave the other to my dog. It tasted so good. Food. And it hadn't even been on the ground. He was with 3 people. They were part of an outreach group. They got me into a shelter with my dog that day. I was just crying. So happy. So thankful. I was barely surviving. Showers and a place to wash your clothes. To save as much money for food. To be able to get dollar menu items and feed yourself 3 times off $5 and some change. Not sure if living in the car counts as homeless though, but a 93 Accord ain't exactly a home. When I was in high school I worked at the front desk of a small YMCA in Seattle. A few homeless guys would come in to shower and I always just told them to keep their money and enjoy their shower. My wife was homeless as a teenager. On Friday afternoons, a businessman would walk up to her and ask her if she was hungry. She would say yes, and he would take her into the restaurant on the corner. She never felt any danger with him, and she has had to cut somebody badly before. He was just some dude offering her a meal. He would let her get anything in the menu. He would sit and read the paper and drink a cup of coffee. There was never any conversation. When he was finished, he would pay the bill and leave. There was never any exchange of words other than "you hungry?" and "have what you want?" and "have a good afternoon." This happened multiple times. She never felt like a project to him. She never felt less than him. She never felt in danger. He was just a guy who saw a dirty girl on the street who needed to eat. She has since gotten her GED, graduated from a trade school with a fitness degree, and now has earned her MBA with honors. She is an amazing woman and an amazing mother. The one wish she has is that she can run into the businessman who bought her lunches and thank him. When I lost my job after the Y2K remediation, I wound up broke as a joke and no hopes of a job from anywhere in Oregon at the time. Girlfriend got asked to come take over her family's failing company business in Utah and we decided to go for it. Got here with nowhere to live, no money, caught a tank of gas. We lived in our cars for a while, then we found a row of 3 abandoned houses in Provo and squatted in the middle one. While she tried to rescue the family business, I got a gig delivering those stupid free newspapers that people get in their driveway. Wife's car was a long bed F350, so we could deliver a ton of papers. That's what kept us fed. I was 32 and a paper route was my only income. As far as the nicest thing anyone did, one day a guy came and knocked on our door, saying he was the house owner. We said sorry, and we will pack up and get out right now. However, the guy was nice. He said he owned all 3 of these empty houses and thanked us for keeping the addicts out of them, and he let us stay there. He even turned the power on for us. 6 months after that I wound up getting a job at eBay, and it was onward and upward from there. So really all we needed was a chance. We got it. I left an abusive relationship and, turns out, he was right. I had nowhere to go. I slept under a train and shoplifted what few basics I couldn't go without, which, frankly, I still don't regret. Screw the Waltons, and got a job at a Burger King. I mean, being homeless and all meant that my hygiene was horrible. Cut off all my hair to hide it, but there's a certain point where you can't anymore. One of my managers pulled me aside and asked me what was up. She called out, sweetly as she could, the red flags she'd seen. My self-harm scars, my hygiene, the breakdown I had when my ex came through the drive-thru, and I'm pretty sure she already knew what was up, at least somewhat. She started scheduling all of our shifts to overlap and taking me home with her, not far from my nest spot, so I could shower and eat dinner with her and her kid. Kinda just took me in as best she could. The shower was nice, so was the food. But the experience of someone giving a damn was what helped. Quite honestly, be kind. Homeless is a 15-year-old girl, for 6 months in 2009. The train station security guard would let me stay in the waiting room overnight. It had a toilet, but most importantly for me was that it was safe as the main station doors were locked. Other than that, toiletries, toothpaste and toothbrush, deodorant, baby wipes, hairbrush, from a local charity, a hot drink when it was cold or a bottle of water when hot, socks, gloves, a book. Love, showers, access to laundry machines, a social security card. Love, soap, shampoo, razors, a barber. Love, a bed or concrete away from muggers and junkies. Water. Love, new pants because I lost so much weight and the locals could tell I was homeless because I'd lost 4 inches off my waist. Love, I'm not homeless anymore, thanks to getting a job that I showed up to on time clean because I took sponge baths in the employee restroom before clocking in. I moved into my new apartment 3 months ago after a year and 10 months of homelessness. Love is still as rare as pennies were. I was homeless at 16 and no job or car. I was trying to finish up high school at what is called a continuation school. Basically a high school for people who were kicked out or expelled from the normal school for various reasons. There were a few good places to sleep. There were tons of greenhouses and a few church buses I was able to regularly sleep in. The greenhouses were uncomfortable and the buses were cold. I knew enough about the local plants and trees to get some small bits of food here and there. I didn't tell anyone but a few friends that I was homeless at the time. I was able to couch, surf at a few places and shower and clean my clothes. After some time I think a few of my teachers figured out what was going on. A lunch became provided for me as well as a refrigerator in the main office. This changed my situation. I didn't realize how hungry I had become over a few months of survival. These small acts of kindness not only kept me coming to school, but helped me graduate early. In a way they helped give me some hope of a future. Food, water, and side jobs were my savior. Oftentimes I would only have 1 meal a day, but the people who would offer me food also offered work. I cleaned people's houses, cars, etc. For 2 months, I worked before I finally got back into a house. It still wasn't perfect. It's been 8 months and only now am I starting to be stable again. Cheap gallons of clean water and even some cheap gas station food was what kept me alive. The Salvation Army went above and beyond for me. I stayed at their emergency shelter, not a legit homeless shelter. You had a maximum time of 3 months to stay and could only be there between the HRS 7 PM to 7 AM. They provided hygiene, bedding, and 2 meals daily. When I finally got a job, night shift, they installed a doorbell for me so I can come in at night and would pack me a doggy bag for lunch at work. I was allowed to stay there for 4.5 months because I was sadly the only person using their services to climb out. I was thankful and I helped them clean up. I owe them more than I could ever repay, and without them who knows the person I would have become. Shelter for me. I was working so didn't need money, but it's hard to maintain a job without a means to shower, etc. I had to travel to public campsites in the morning to shower. I met a kindly old lady named Gemnique. We spoke for a bit, and she offered to let me stay in a cabin she had if I mowed the lawn for her. The kindness of strangers has been far more impactful in my life than the actions of my own family. You never know what impact a little kindness can have on the trajectory of a person's life. I make it a point to offer what I can when I can nowadays. I don't typically hand out money, but rather prefer to fill up the gas tank, go to dinner with them, or take people shopping for what they need most. Company, to be honest. A few friends gave me a place to shower and that sort of thing, but mostly I remember being super glad when a friend would still want to carve out time to hang out with me despite my situation. Being homeless can be really lonely. Thank you for watching AskReddit. Please like, share and subscribe.